more people are willing to listen. Is that there's more people talking, but there's also more people standing up and listening and letting those people know that it's okay to have the conversations and to talk. And I guess the ideal world is the days like similar to me at work where I don't have to announce who I'm seeing or who I'm with, or I can just bring my partner into conversations, and same within sport. And it's nice when people share their stories, but it's nice when that actually just becomes the norm as well. My name is Keeley Brown, and I am from Kitchener, Ontario. Went to school in Toronto. I joined hockey a little bit later in life. When I was 6 years old, I asked if I could play hockey, and my dad was told that no, girls play ringette and boys play hockey. So I've played ringette all the way up to the national team and coaching with the national level, and have my own ringette goalie business. But in high school, I started playing hockey with the boys high school hockey team. And then I went to school, University of Toronto, and played on the varsity team there. And then finished school, thought, hey, I should probably get a career as well. Went to law school. I worked downtown Toronto, a Bay Street firm, and then I wanted to find a hockey team that would let me play ringette at the same time. Moved out to Edmonton, Alberta, started the 2000s, and played goal for both of those teams out here in Edmonton. I liked it, decided to stay, and then lo and behold, the Edmonton Oilers were looking for their first in-house lawyer back in 2005, 2006. So I went through a whole host of interviews and process and you name it. And I've been the in-house lawyer for the Edmonton Oilers for the last 15 years now.
So you briefly touched on it, but how did Keely get into hockey?
I think it was mostly that I took what was given to me and took my sport of ringette and loved it. And it's a great sport, very fast, and worked really hard at that sport as a goalie. And then when the boys high school, the older goalie was leaving the team, and he came up to me and he said, hey, you should try hockey as well. And it was really neat. So I joined, our teachers had a men's league late at night. And so I went and played with the teachers to get some practice. And then I tried out for the team. And once I kind of made that team, but I also made a women's team, a girls team in Toronto, and you couldn't play select hockey at the same time. So I had to go to a bunch of meetings to see if I was even eligible and allowed to play on the boys team. I went through all those, I guess Justine Blaney back in the court cases in Ontario broke the barrier for women way back in the 90s. And so it was relatively straightforward for me to do it, but I ended up playing with my club team in Toronto, a little bit more, the Toronto Arrows, and made it all the way up to school and got to pick where I wanted to go to school between Canada and the US and all that. So it was a great ride once I got in, but it took a while to get in for sure.
What do you love about hockey?
So many things. But I think mostly, especially as I'm a bit older and looking kind of back on my competitive playing days, mostly was the people. The types of people you get to meet, the people you play against, the competitions, the trips, the bus rides, the hotels, traveling to new places. I play inline hockey as well. So I've been a goalie on the national team for the inline hockey for Team Canada for, I guess, 12 years. And now I'm assistant coach for Team Canada. And for inline hockey, we get to travel all over the world. So I've been to China, I've been all over Europe, Colombia. I'm waiting for South Africa. Namibia wants to host Worlds. So I think just the different cultures, the language, the people that you get to meet. Facebook, if I date myself a little bit, but my Facebook my Facebook friends are from all over, and it's really kind of neat to see all that.
Based off your intersection of identities, how could hockey be better for you? And also, how could it be better for the queer community as a whole?
In the last couple of years, people are talking about things a lot more. And it's very comforting. And it's, for me, I was married in Toronto to a guy and came out here, and I've always been kind of, I don't know, it's not black and white and gray for me. I'm a goalie. I like to fit wherever I want to fit. And when I ended up, I have 2 children as well. So I was pregnant at work, and it was quite nice that I didn't have to have a big coming out. By the way, this is my partner, and this is what's happening. Is just, no, we're going to have a baby. And I just talk about my partner by name, as same as I would talk about a guy. And I don't know, maybe it's my approach as well, but I don't make it a big issue to introduce myself as that's part of my initial. I'm Keely, I'm a lawyer, I'm a goalie, and I have family, I have kids, and I just bring it into conversations. And I don't treat it as something that we need to talk specifically. I treat it as this is a part of me, as who I am, and that's who I am, and that's what I talk about. And maybe too, I'm a bit naive, but People that I encounter don't seem to have a problem with it, but maybe I don't give them a chance to have a problem either. And I just assume that it's fine and I just continue about my business. And so far I've been pretty good that way.
Do you think it could be better for the queer community as a whole, or do you think we're progressing nicely?
There's always different stories, right? And I think what we're hearing now is we're hearing more stories because people are feeling comfortable that they can recognize and stand up and say, wait a minute, this stuff that I didn't talk about before, I need to talk about it. And it's how things were back in the day, how things were and how things are now. I think people now that we're talking about things more is that you're realizing there's certain words that you're not allowed to say anymore, but more predominantly is that other people like us is that we're realizing that we can say that to people and say, you actually can't call somebody that. You can't say that. You can't make that an issue. And it's race, it's sexuality, it's even transgender, and you name it. Like there's a whole bunch of things that we're allowed to talk about now, and that we're allowed to tell people that they're not allowed to say certain things and educate. My favorite is with my kids whenever they go to school is I have many stories, but my kids have two moms. And my brother's here, and he came from Ontario for a week. And my son was quite, when we're allowed two people due to COVID to come to my son's graduation from preschool. And my partner wasn't sure if she could make it. So I might have brought my brother. And my son was like, but then everyone's going to think I have a dad. And I was like, well, is that okay? And he's like, well, yeah, but I don't have a dad. I have two moms. I'm like, well, that's true. But some people have dads, and that's okay. And it's just with kids, they're blank slate. Is that lots of my daughter's kids have talked to their parents about my daughter having two moms, and it's just so refreshing how they deal with it. To be like, well, they have two moms and they're actually really good at sports and they can fix stuff and they can do the yard work and they can do all that stuff too. And it's just refreshing talking to kids about all that stuff.
What keeps you in hockey?
Again, love the people, similar. And I've been very fortunate that I've turned it into my career in many different types of career. So I have a ringette goalie business that I do on the side, as well as my job in-house with the Oilers. I like being a lawyer and something I'm good at with details and drafting and all of that. But to be a sports lawyer is way more fun than many other types of lawyers. And like with the playoffs and hosting different events and concerts and running our own arena and things like that, that's what really keeps me involved in sports. And I think too, on the flip side is I've moved on from my competitive days. So moving more into coaching and coaching the kids, but I do miss the trips in the last year with COVID. I miss being able to travel all around Canada. I miss being able to go to other countries and plan and have the big international events. And so I think now that that's coming back, that reminds me of what I enjoy about being involved in hockey and sports in general.
What gives you hope for queer people in the sport moving forward?
It's a good question. I think what gives me hope is that more people are willing to listen. Is that there's more people talking, but there's also more people standing up and listening and letting those people know that it's okay to have the conversations and to talk. And I guess the ideal world is the days like similar to me at work where I don't have to announce who I'm seeing or who I'm with, or I can just bring my partner into conversations, and same within sport. And it's nice when people share their stories, but it's nice when that actually just becomes the norm as well.
Keely, is there anything you'd like to add?
I just think for everybody, it's important to be ready to have conversations with people and to be open to have the conversations. I was interesting coaching the Team Canada for inline hockey. A good story is that there's one of the coaches of one of the other countries is a man now and used to be female. And when I walked into the dressing room, some of our players were talking about that. And I was like, well, is it a guy or is it a girl or where is it at? And I got to walk in and say, actually, this is his name now. And yes, used to be female. And I used to play against him when he was a her. And he's quite good if you have conversations. You can ask him anything. You can ask me anything. I can talk to him and we can find out what happened and decisions and how to refer to him, what to call him, what name he goes by. We can talk about all that stuff. And once people realize that, oh, this isn't just something that you make fun of or joke about or anything, you can actually ask and talk, just opens the whole world up right from there. And it's been great.
Keely, I want to thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Brock.